Yes, people, hello and welcome back to another episode of CamBro Conversations, the business and fitness podcast. Today, I'm lucky to be joined by Jock Rintoul. Jock is an entrepreneur based in Glasgow who will tell us a bit of a story today about how he grew his own online business while at university and starting his first graduate job. Jock, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, I'm Jock. Like you said, I started the business in uni. Really just sort of took off, and I now run that part time with my sort of graduate job that I've got. So, I'm a busy guy, but fire away. Glad to be here.
Exactly, mate. So that's one of the main reasons I want to get you on. We've got that kind of diversity of interest there, where you've got that traditional path that a lot of Scottish guys go on, where you go to school, you get your qualifications, you end up at university.
Apply for a job, start your job, and that's you in the machine. I still did that, and then I was kind of halfway through that, I thought, do you know what, I start a clothing brand and go broke.
Yeah, exactly.
So now I do both at once, so it's kind of strange. It's like 50-50, but
brilliant. So if we go into a bit of detail on that, then Jock, tell us a bit about school. Were you always entrepreneurial? Did you have that kind of mindset where you wanted to own businesses?
I don't really know, man. When I was younger, my mum and dad used to do like antique shows. So they used to buy antiques at auctions and stuff like that, and then pop along and sell them at stalls. And I was kind of brought along for a bit of that, like when I was real wee, like a wee toddler. And then I got to primary school, I was kind of remember selling stuff. I can't even tell you what. It was like just stupid things used to get online, like with torches and that. And I think you get to high school and kind of didn't really bother that anymore. So I started messing about a bit more. And then got to uni and I had a bit more free time, and really I needed money, so I started selling things on eBay, like shipping in from China, like a bit of drop shipping and that.
What kind of stuff are we talking?
And then, oh man, it was like anything. Like honestly, like you could just buy like 25 key rings or whatever and just sell them on eBay, and like for like £2 each or whatever, and you make like £1 a go. Just stupid stuff like that, and you do like 20 a week, and it was like 20 quid to go out. Do you know what I mean? Like first year uni, so I was only working part time. Didn't really get like tried not to touch my sass, and then sort of did that, and then I thought like sort of pivot into something more interesting, started sort of reselling clothes, and then I decided I'll just start selling my own clothes, and it's kind of like taking off for there. It's like a proper business. It's more than just like a side hustle, but
yeah, brilliant. So in terms of that journey you've gone on, where you kind of dipped your toe in at uni and you're selling a bit of stuff on eBay, a wee bit of income. You said the next thing you did was you started to resell clothes. What kind of clothes are we talking, and what was it again, eBay?
eBay, Depop, Facebook groups, like I think we're in about second year uni. That Complex did like a documentary about like Supreme and people reselling it, and I was like, I'm getting in this. Like, I didn't know this whole world existed. I was kind of interested in the streetwear and stuff, but I didn't know you could make so much cash. It's all exaggerated in that, but you could get like a few tops and stuff like that, pop them on Depop or whatever, and then you could make it sort of £25 on top a go. So I was doing that, and I had a bit of following. I was talking a lot in communities, and I seen some guys were starting their own clothing brands, and I thought, like, yeah, I could definitely do that. Do you know what I mean? Got enough time to set something like that up.
Yeah, brilliant. And your degree at uni, you were studying at Strathclyde. That was a finance degree, am I right in saying?
So I was doing enterprise and finance. So I took enterprise up until third year, and then in fourth year, we were doing like business case studies and like working with entrepreneurs. And I was realising, like in some cases, that I was actually running a better business than the guys that were studying. Because it was just randoms they'd bring in who needed help, and I was like, well, these are, you know what I mean? You're falling behind here. And I'm stuck like trying to study and sell clothes, and I was like, how's this happening? So in fourth year, I was like, nah, so finance, like mainly just because I didn't want to do entrepreneurship anymore. It was just pointless. I was helping guys out, and I was like, no, I'm too busy doing my own thing. And then with finance, sorry, I'll let you jump in.
No, of course, Jock. I've always found that funny, the concept of studying entrepreneurship at uni, and there's a lot of merit to it, I suppose, in terms of understanding maybe case studies of what people did and how they did it, markets they accessed, mindset and approach. But ultimately, when you're somebody that's been living entrepreneurship for a good couple of years with reselling the Supreme clothes off the back of that documentary you watched, and then beginning to start your own clothing business, it seems almost counterintuitive for you to be.
Yeah, no, it's mad. Like I remember in second year, they were like, "Oh, everyone should be starting their own business. Like, think about it." And guys were off like coming up with ideas for apps, making websites, like the pure silliest things in the world, man. And I was just sat like, "Well, I think I'm gonna sell some t-shirts and hoodies." Like, thinking that was like the worst idea, and I'm the only one that's still running a business. And there's a few of them were off like I don't even know what they're up to, right? But they're just working jobs like normal, and I'm like, nah, like I did something like kind of realistic, I think, and I knew at the time like it wasn't as impressive as what these guys were trying to do, but at the same time, just kept going with it, and it's worked out a bit more. So yeah, you can study it all you want, but I think you either understand what the market wants or you don't. You know what I mean?
I love that because, like you say, it's easy to get caught up in the hype of, oh, I'm gonna find this app that a million people download or whatever. But ultimately, you had a bit of a look around. You'd seen this documentary, and it kind of ticked that kind of box in your head that
exactly.
said,
Like
"I
you
can
see
do
that
this."
opportunity. Yeah, you see the opportunity, and you think like, "Oh, that's us." Like there'll be Mark Zuckerberg and that, but realistically, like if you're running a business and you're making a couple hundred or whatever at that age, you're doing well. Do you know what I mean? You don't need to go and chase millions.
Absolutely. So you'd gone through this journey. You're selling a few clothes online. Supreme, in particular, being a brand that's big in that space in streetwear. Where did the idea for Collection 26 come from, and how did it start initially?
I don't know, man. It was like I kind of had the idea for like a wee while, like, oh, I could do something, I could bring out my own brand, but nobody sort of did that before. So I was almost like, took a lot of courage to like jump out and say, this is my brand. And I don't know, I was in Facebook groups like Basement, and there was people sort of starting their own brand, launching into these t-shirts, and I was like, right, cool. But I didn't really know anything about the drawing or the art or anything like that. So it took a wee while to kind of come up with the right ideas, and then eventually I was like, nah, I'm either going to do this or not, so just go for it. Do you know what I mean? It's like I post on Facebook, I post on Instagram. If nobody looks at it, we just delete it and pretend it never happened. But no, I just kind of took off for there. And everyone's like so supportive, man. Like they're so worried to put stuff like that out there, especially when it's like your own creation. But you'll find that even with your podcast, I'm sure like you'll find that everyone's so much more supportive than you thought.
Yeah, that's a huge point. I think. Do you know something that's funny? And we're both from similar area in terms of Glasgow and the west of Scotland, and you sometimes think that people will do you down.
Yeah, you get slagging.
Exactly, and for
that's that one. It's like, oh, you're selling clothes. What are you doing?
For
Just
the
non-Scot, you know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
Aye.
So for the
nobody else in the world does that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not being funny, but you get so much support for people down in England and that as well. Like, just random stuff. I was like, oh, this is mad. But like up here, I knew that I was getting a slag. Do you know what I mean? So you've just got to do it and remember that like the world's bigger than Glasgow. I think Glasgow's bad for that. I've heard a lot of people talk about that before. It's like a fishbowl, man.
That's so
You've
true.
got to
And
remember
I think
that there's sort of life outside of that.
For the non-Scottish listeners, a slagging is just basically a bit of the piss getting taken out of you, kind of fun getting poked at you because, like Jock says, there's probably a lot of his friends that were very supportive and whatnot, but a lot of the time, and I can certainly relate from starting a fitness Instagram where your friends were like, you put your top back on, like what are you doing that for? And you were in every group chat, screenshots, and you kind of, you need to be a bit thick-skinned in that initial stage. But the part that I was interested in, Jock, in particular, is you said you'd never done anything like the drawing and the artwork and the design before. How did you start to get good at that? Did you have inspirations?
Oh man, like I don't even, I still don't really know. I've seen that like a lot of, if you sort of, I just kind of keep an eye on what other brands are doing a wee bit and what I like, and try kind of figure out what the trend is going to be. So I think the first top I released had like a rose on it, and I kind of came up with the idea, sketched out a wee bit, man, like as best I could. And I managed to find somebody that could actually do like a digital version for me. Okay. And then it actually looked like quite clean on the digital version. That was really cool to embroider that. But that's the way I still do it. Like I still can't draw. Like I just need to explain what I want for people and hope that it comes out the other end all right.
Your part in that is obviously important, but it's not the be all and the end all. It's you're coordinating the overall picture.
Yeah, it's more a job of like spotting the trends, to be honest, and figuring out what people want to buy than it is actually coming out with the design, because you can tell people what you want to draw. If you have to, you can pay them or whatever to do it. Do you know what I mean? But you need to figure out what people are going to buy first. I think it's easy to lose focus of that if you're running like a clothing brand.
Of course. And when it comes to like after you've done that design and you're pleased with, for example, this rose t-shirt, which is the initial launch piece, what are the next steps? Like you said, you found this guy that moves it onto a digital platform.
Yeah.
Where do you go there?
Yeah, so then I'd send it to like my guys at like this factory. It's based in Manchester, and they'll make it like they do like an embroidery layout or whatever, and it shows you all the stitches, what thread they're going to use, how many stitches it's going to take, how much it's going to cost, and stuff like that. And then you can basically give it the approval, or you say, oh, use like a lighter stitch or a darker stitch, whatever. You want it to be thicker, how many do you want, that kind of thing.
Okay.
That's a lot of just trial and error. And then they'll put it in, embroider it, and then send it up. And as long as you're happy with the samples, you can like get as many as you want made. But starting out, like I used to get the samples in, photograph them, and then sell from there. Do you know what I mean? Like say, oh, this is a 3-week delay or whatever, and sort of gauge demand, and then get it in production. So I didn't have like enough money to start like making hunters off the bat.
That's interesting because when it comes to startup costs, you probably got a restricted budget, and you've got, for example, like you say, you produce the samples of this initial design, and then how many would they send back to you? Would they just, how many samples do you order? Do you order a very small number?
Oh, like literally one top, like a top and a hoodie.
Right.
So I had like a black top, a white top, and a hoodie, and I was like, really cool. Like sort of messaged my pal, like, we need to go take photos. He came along, take some photos of us wearing the stuff. I modelled it the first time and all. And for some reason, like a few people bought it, and that was enough to like keep us going. Do you know what I mean? And even like getting the orders in the first time, that's enough to give you like the momentum to sort of think, right, cool, what's next? Do you know what I mean? And you can start building on that.
Brilliant. And Instagram was a platform you were using, but you mentioned these Facebook groups. What, I'm completely ignorant to that side of things, so
oh man,
a lot of the listeners will be
so much of your brand is based on like community at the start. Like you can see brands on Instagram and stuff, but unless you can relate to it, you're not going to buy anything from them. So I was in a group basement. It was quite cool at the time or whatever. It's still going now, but it's more just a sort of buy sell, like we discussion. But at the time, it was kind of everyone was into their clothes and stuff there, and you could post up whatever. And I was getting into like really chatting with people, making sure I posted so many times a week or whatever. Get myself active. It meant that when I released sort of the clothes, people knew who I was, and you kind of had a bit of credibility when it comes to that. So kind of built a community around me, and then said, oh, there's my brand, and started taking that community and building it around my brand now, if that makes any sense. And then you've got on Reddit, there's like a Reddit for like streetwear startups. That's so good. And you just post up your new designs, and everyone on there's like normally quite positive. A lot is more American, so the designs are sometimes a bit louder or whatever, so you don't always do as well there. But just kind of opportunities to connect with people and sort of build a brand and like a community first before you start trying to grow. But once you get that initial base, like I've just like hammered Instagram ads so hard, like that really works for me for some reason. I think once you figure out what your best posts are and what your target is, you can sort of just go crazy with it. Like that's my main sort of source of like expenditures at Instagram ads at the moment.
Really? Okay, that's interesting, because I know people have mixed experience with Instagram adverts and in terms of increased reach and whatnot, but I suspect given what you're saying there about you've tested it within your community who are very much streetwear enthusiasts, that's your target market maybe not just your target market, that's the people that you respect from a credibility standpoint.
Yeah, that's the people that you're going to get your first orders from, and that's the people that are going to kind of like validate like what you're doing, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, because then you can then reach the wider audience, which is maybe somebody like myself who wants a nice t-shirt for wearing when they go into town at the weekend or go out for brunch or lunch, whatever I'm up to. But I wouldn't necessarily be aware of the startup brand.
You wouldn't be in these groups to like sort of see it at the start or whatever. You see it once it's got like a couple thousand followers, and then you think, all right, cool, so this is like a legit brand. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. You get that kind of social proofing, don't you, where you maybe see people wearing it. So with this Instagram page, you went straight away for the name of the brand. So Collection 26. Where did that come from?
Oh man, like I don't know. I was just like I said, like, I've not really got. Well, I guess I do because people buy the stuff, but I feel like I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to like designing. Like I've got no skills or that, and like branding or whatever. It's not something I'd really thought about before. 26 was my lucky number in a collection. Just sounded like a clothing brand, like to go in front of it. If that makes any
Yeah.
sense. I think that's the hardest part. It's like coming up with your name because you think a lot of people are gonna think it's cool. Is it gonna be corny? Do you know what I mean? But I just thought I don't know, just picked it and thought, like, let it go, like see what happens.
When
I think
it
you've got
came
to be like
to
that.
when it came to sourcing that factory in Manchester, did you have a bit of trial and error? Did somebody point you in the right direction? How did you end up with this?
Uh, oh no, so there's like all sorts of places online that will do t-shirts and whatever, and like, oh, it's so expensive. Um, but I think a lot of times when it's your first sort of ones and you're getting your first samples on or whatever, you don't really have that much of a choice. You've got to go with somebody that's only going to produce like one or two.
Okay.
Um, so I don't know, your options are a bit limited, especially in the UK. Nobody's going to really point you in the right direction. Like I struggled so much because no brand's going to tell you where they get their stuff made. Do you know what I mean? It's just not a thing. Like I think part of the work of starting up the brand is finding your right blanks, finding what t-shirts to start putting your like stuff on. Nobody's going to buy like a golden top. Nobody's going to buy Fruit of Loom. You've got to find like a proper nice blank that's thick and fits people properly and doesn't just shrink after a couple washes. So it is like a lot of trial and error, to be honest. But once you get there, like that's you set and you can start building for there. Do you know what I mean? But until
Yeah.
that point, it's just trial and error. I was quite lucky, I think, managed to figure out what I'm sort of looking for and what I was going for straight away. Um, and then I've just kind of managed to stick with that place ever since. That I know I pay a bit more money than other people for certain stuff, but
Okay.
I've got like an account manager and you get bulk discounts and stuff like that. And they've always been quality and they've got like the best embroidery machines. Like it can go in so in detail. Whereas I think if you trust like a random on Facebook or whatever, like it can all fall apart. Do you know what I mean? They're not professional enough for
Yeah.
like the scale that I'm on now.
For for the listeners, I know that you've been going for almost 3 years now. So to use that same factory manufacturer for 3 years probably shows a level of relationship and trust, which means that
Oh, 100%,
you're
man.
confident.
I could just phone them up. Like I've got a straight to dial for like one of the production managers. I can just ring her up straight away and say, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Or like, I need this, I need it for like now or whatever. And they can get it shipped like so fast for me and stuff like that. So the level of service I get and the flexibility that gives me my business, like I think it's worth the extra. I know there's like factories in Portugal that a lot of brands use now. But that's just I don't know. It's too much a hassle for me. Like, could probably look into it, but like you say, I'm working a job, I'm studying, whatever. Like, I've not got time to start flying about the place.
Yeah, of course. That brings us nicely onto time management, Jock. What does that look like? How does it
Oh
differ?
man, it's crazy.
I think the most interesting thing for the listeners will be how does it differ from when you were at uni and you were maybe a decent number of class hours, but you had a lot of time to work in the business. But now you're in a 9 to 5 job for a leading investment bank. You're in an intense graduate scheme for the operations side of business. There's an expectation on you to clock up
Yeah,
your 40
perform.
hours and work hard as well. How is it different?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's a bit of a shock to the system. I've always kind of worked part time and studied, so I thought that I was like kind of balancing everything. I thought I was working hard like a few years ago, but it's changed since I started working like a full 9 to 5, like you say. But if anything, I think it's better because I don't know. I kind of say right, I'm going to do the business for 2 hours on Friday. I'm going to do it for 2 hours on Saturday, and I know for like that 4 hours, I've got to be like switched on. I've got to make decisions fast, and if anything, I think that's worked out a bit better for me. I feel like I'm getting a lot more done. If you used to sit like for like almost like half a day sitting thinking about what your next design's going to be, whereas now I've not got that like luxury. I need to just get in and think right, what's the trend? Right, cool, that's that. And then you can start to just work on it for like a whole hour and just focus all your time into it. So it's maybe better now, but it's a bit stressful if you've for example Black Friday, like that's huge. I had like over 100 orders that week, and I had to try get them all shipped and also work like 9 to 5. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So yeah, it gets a bit crazy, and I've made it worse for myself. I've signed up to do my CFA, which is like this finance exam thing that you
yeah,
sort of have to do, but not really. But yeah, and that's quite intense and all. So I'm kind of got a whole new thing to balance here. But
of
I just
course.
feel like I can't take a break, man. Like I don't know. I like being busy. I like working.
Yeah,
Just kind of
I respect that
taps me up.
hugely. I respect that hugely, and I think you can. Anyone that's had a short conversation with you and the listeners so far will probably get that vibe from you, where you've got a bit of a focus and you say, right, I'm gonna get this done. And I guess when it comes to the business, you're working full time. You're going to be studying for your CFA, which will help you develop within your corporate career.
Yeah.
What are the opportunities for you to scale Collection 26 within the kind of current role that you do? So with the time that you're still able to allot towards it.
Yeah, man, like it's still pretty, like, I don't know, I like to think it's limitless, to be honest, but it maybe isn't as much. Like, we used to organise sort of 2 pop-up shops a year that we'd organise and like I'd put it on, but now I'm sort of going to other people's pop-up shops and attending them instead, so maybe it shows a bit there. But realistically, like, a lot of the business is online, and it's just a case of post 3 times on Instagram a week, make sure that you're coming up with new designs like every month. And as long as I'm doing that, like, I'm quite happy. I still see the business almost like as a hobby. Like, I'm not relying on it for like a paycheck or anything like that. So it's not, and it's not. I don't feel like there's too much pressure on me or anything like that. If I had to take a break, then I could. But realistically, like, I don't really have to either. It's an online thing, so a lot of it just runs itself. I can put in as much work as I want to.
Yeah, there's that enjoyment factor as well, and I guess for those that are really into their fitness listening to this, where Jock's broken it down, those kind of minimum things that he needs to do in order to progress the business. So that's 3 Instagram posts a week. That's how many designs a month, did you say?
Yeah, like literally like 1 or 2.
One or
even
two.
if you bring it like 2 t-shirts, people will be happy. Do you know what I mean?
So you've got those metrics that you work towards, and obviously having those as your kind of key performance indicators or minimum standards that you must meet. That means that you know at the end of the month, or for example, the end of January 2020, if you'd not done your 3 Instagram posts a week, you'd not done your new designs, you knew that you hadn't moved the business forward. But if you had done those, or even if you'd exceeded that, you know that I'm still doing everything I can to still progress it or at least maintain it. Which
for sure, man. I was even looking at trying to like get other people to like sort of help out and stuff, but I just couldn't. Like, I was really struggling to let any control go of the business. I like having a full oversight on everything that's going on. That's the way it's always been, and that's the way it's worked, which is probably a sort of downside for myself, but I don't know, you can't help it. What's good though is, like, we do have stuff in a storefront store in Northern Ireland in Derry. So I ship clothes over to them and they sort of sell it for me. And they just buy that wholesale, which is like a dream come true. Like, that's so easy. So
that's
if I could get more shops,
then.
Yeah, so that's something I'm kind of working towards, is getting it into physical stores rather than like opening up my own. So maybe that's something that I'd have more time to do if I wasn't working like all the time.
Yeah, we spoke about this previously, and you were saying that there's a kind of there's like a bit of a glamorization around. I've opened up a shop and all my clothes are in it, and I've got staff and whatnot.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, people have that as a goal, is like to have a physical store, like brick and mortar retail. But like, why? Like, I think it's much better being online based. It's less intense. You don't need to hire like loads of staff. You don't need to worry about, oh, are people coming into the shop. Like, online, you reach the whole world. Do you know what I mean? In a shop in Buchanan Street, you reach like a bit of Glasgow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even at that, like, it just puts a pressure on you, like rent, fucking wages. Like, your people are relying on you. Do you know what I mean? I just don't see that as a goal for me. I think that shops are shutting down now, so why try and open one up? I think that brands like myself, like, we slowly are helping to like kill the high street, which is a shame. But at the same time, like, times have changed. You've got a whole world out there that you can like target ads to. You don't need to set up a shop.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. And I think to kind of relate that to my own experience of retail, the area of work that I work in is corporate insurance, and we work with a lot of retailers, and we write to a lot of retailers that we don't work with, and we're helping support them with the enhanced cyber risk that a lot of them are encountering by going online, because ultimately they're pulling away from bricks and mortar, like you say, because the costs of running a store are higher than ever. Footfall on the high street's lower. If you look at the crisis that we're in just now with COVID-19,
yeah, it's such a risk.
Exactly.
Just crazy.
And even in February, I think it was the wettest February in 20 years or whatever. So the high street sales were down because people don't want to go out in the rain, whereas more people were going to like a retail centre, like a Braehead in Glasgow or a Silverburn in Glasgow or an Into wherever you are in the UK, and so those sales were down in the high street, but probably down in those places as well. Whereas online continues to do well.
Just it's everything now, isn't it? Like it's just, I don't know, it's so easy. I'd rather spend like the money that I would spend in rent. I'd rather spend that on Instagram ads and like just keep the business growing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In terms of Instagram, then you're posting 3 times a week, and the quality of those posts will be good as well. What kind of stuff do you do to create the content, and what are you looking to put out there? Is it just modeling shots, or
Oh man, it can be anything. Like I'm trying to show more of like the process now. So I used to be kind of quite I used to think the Instagram had to be like very polished, like everything had to be shot properly. But you'll see that the content that people react to is like the one that's like raw. Do you know what I mean? Like just like, oh, this is a stitch count design I've got for like what's coming out. Do you know what I mean? Like people react to that really well. I've found posting sort of older photos. That's what I'm doing just now, because we've got a bit of downtime and there's not much happening. So I'm posting older photos like pop-up shots we did a few years ago and stuff. And a lot of people are new to the brand and haven't seen that before, so that's like going really well. But it's a bit. I've got a guy, Hamza, and he sorts a lot of stuff out for me. Like he's my photographer, so I'll give him stuff and he can go and shoot it. So if I've got a big drop or whatever coming, but he sends so many photos, and I've got ones that I haven't even like posted up for that. So I've got content planned for the next however long.
For days and days,
we can all just start making more. Do you know what I mean? So, but you've just got to remember to like keep that frequency up so that you stay on people's radar.
With Instagram adverts, I guess this will be interesting for everyone listening that's maybe felt that they're targeted on their phone by different adverts and whatnot, and certain things come up in the feed. How do you niche down to your audience? Do you target it for a certain age group, a certain demographic?
So like you know the kind of age group that you'd be going for, and then depending on what the design's like, you either target people who are interested in like similar brands, the brands I'd like to align with, or people who are interested in certain artists, or I don't know, man. It's a lot of, you see what works, whatever works, you just kind of go with that, and then if it doesn't work, you sort of shelf that idea. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot of trial and error. But you can even put in like £5, see how it does over a week, and then if it does well, you can up that to like a lot more, or you can just be like, nope, that didn't work, shelf it.
When you've got a drop coming up, if that's the technical term, I'm feeling like I'm learning a lot of the lingo now. When you've got a drop coming up, what are the time pressures? What are the focuses? What do you need to do?
It can be a bit crazy. Like we'll do sort of like 2 big drops a year. It's like a summer and a winter, and that's when it kind of speeds up a bit for me. So drop coming up, you need to shoot all the t-shirts. Kind of look at your website, see how you want things to set up. So normally I've got it set up so the best selling items will show up first. But if you're dropping new stuff that's not sold before, then you need that to show up first. So that can take a bit of time to sort of figure out a good level with that. And then your Instagram content, you've got to plan that a lot more. So you've got to know when you're going to plug like whatever t-shirt is coming out, along with not just constantly plugging a new drop, and also giving people more value. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. And then you've got a whole new world of Instagram ads. You don't know how people are going to react to certain photos or whatever you put up. So you need to then figure out what adverts to target for them. But normally the first drop does well and things will sell out and it's great. It's after that you need to start thinking, right, what's the logistics of this? What t-shirts do we not need to sell anymore? What should we make more of? Do you know what I mean?
Is that the kind of analysis you're doing after the big launch, the big drop? You've released, say, how many new designs?
Don't know, like probably like six new t-shirts and then maybe a couple of hoodies. Like Google's got tools like Google Analytics, like that's great. You can hop on there and it will show you like how many clicks each individual, like how many views or whatever each individual page has got. So that's quite decent because then you can be like, all right, cool. So that was really popular. You need to have more of that. You can see how fast things are sold out in that. So yeah, it's just there's a lot of tools out there to kind of help you. It's quite like common sense that if something's selling, keep up with it, supply and demand. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So supply and demand plays a big role. The different tools that you've got, and I imagine a lot of these tools are play a big role in the efficiency of you being able to run this business while
Oh, for
still
sure,
working
man. Yeah,
towards.
see, having it all on your, yeah, like I've got it all on my phone. Like that's all I need. Like I've got the computer for the sort of design process and sort of making orders and stuff. But like so much, it's on my phone. I can check emails. I can check how many people have opened like an email, how many people have clicked on your Instagram ads. Like all of that is just on my phone, and that's so handy.
That's brilliant, and that can be done on a lunch break at a glance.
Yeah,
And then,
exactly, man. Even now, see, like working from home, like you get up a bit earlier and you check your phone or whatever. You can just check out what's going on online. Go to work, take a lunch break for an hour, and you're already like in the office with like that all the stuff around you that like
yeah,
you need to run your business. It's actually really good. So yeah, the phone lifesaver.
yeah, brilliant, and just making sure that you've got that efficient ability to run your business when you do have a lot of hectic stuff on around it. What is the
Yeah,
most
for sure.
time consuming, challenging element of the business?
It's the writing out parcels. Like, so you could there's sort of like two options, man. Like, you can either do it yourself with pen and bags or whatever, or you can pay like a company to do it and distribute it for you. But I've always done it myself, and that sort of worked out best for me. So I keep that up, but it can be a nightmare. Like, see if you've got 40, 50 orders in a week, and you're sitting and work on like a Wednesday or something, and you know you've not got any time till Friday to like sort of write these out. It can get quite intensive. You can end up doing 4 hours of just staring at a screen writing out names and addresses,
Yeah,
and then popping the t-shirt and wrapping it up, and then dropping it to the post office. So that's probably the most work intensive, but that's always going to be the hard work. But there's something nice about that as well because you're sending people the clothes that they've bought. Like there's a sort of good feeling when you get to the post office. You think like, God, these are all going out to people. Do you know what I mean?
of course, and that's the striker tapping the ball over the line after the brilliant play
That's when it's
before it.
real. That's when it becomes real, man. You're like, well, like look how many orders I've shipped this week. It's such a good feeling.
Finishing things off. In terms of, we did a bit of a football analogy there. I know that you had a bit of an experiment in that space.
Yeah, that was good.
Before
um,
you
that was,
before you started your graduate job, you had some time off during the summer, and you having too much time is clearly a recipe for trying to make more
yeah.
money. What happened there? Tell the listeners what you got up to.
Oh man, so I had whatever, I quit my job, finished my dissertation, finished the exams, whatever, and then I had like a big space, June till August or something like that. I was on my holiday start June. I was like, right, cool. What am I gonna do like over a space? Like, am I gonna chill out? Whatever, probably not. And I started looking into football tops, just to, like buy a few. And then I realised that I could find them cheaper for other places. And then eventually that just transformed into like me buying a couple on eBay every day, and then when they came in, just upload them on Instagram, get them sold, and then end up making tons of like connections and stuff like that. So I had guys in Italy, guys in Germany that could send like so many over, just help us out proper. You could buy them in bulk, whatever, like connections that I didn't even know existed for like these guys. And then it ended up being like this big Instagram page. I think we got like 2,000 followers over like 3 months or something like that,
Yeah.
which is quite good. Plus, like I don't even know how many football tops I sold, but yeah, it was good because it was like, I kind of love for football tops as well as like, I don't know, like a proper human interaction as well with the transaction, because people would message and ask about it, you show them the condition. But that's like quite work intensive as well, so it's not something I could have kept up. But yeah, it was really fun for the time being, and like we made a good bit of cash off it and stuff like that. So it was a good summer.
I was going to say, one of those ones that hard to scale, but quite good fun. And again, probably just shows your business acumen and the ability for you to identify an opportunity. Because
Yeah,
I think certainly what I was thinking when we first started speaking, and certainly one of the things that some of the listeners are probably thinking as well, is you've got this corporate job that's obviously important to you. You've just started in a graduate scheme. It's a great standard of business as well that you've managed to secure a job at, and there's some good support for you. They're putting you through your professional qualifications. But at what stage would you ever consider, would you want to be an entrepreneur full time, or would you want to work in the corporate world?
I don't know. I think corporate's the way I'm going at the moment actually. So I like what I do. With selling the clothes, I like having the business. And I like just starting businesses and making money or whatever. But there's this kind of level of security that you don't get, that you would get with a job. So even now, like, I don't know, like you see with coronavirus, like people are self-employed and people are just stuck. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a shame. And I don't know. I don't know how I'd do under that pressure. I like having Collection 26 is something that I really enjoy doing, but I wouldn't want to make it like, oh, I need to sell so many t-shirts this week to get a paycheck, because at that stage it becomes, I don't know, it just becomes like your livelihood, and I think that's almost too much to rely on. Maybe, I don't know, we'll see what happens in the future. I kind of save up all the money I make for like the business and just put it in an account, and it just sits there, and I'm just waiting for like the right opportunity to come along. But as far as I see my future at the moment, I see myself working my way around finance and kind of building a career in that space.
Yeah.
And plus, I enjoy that too. So.
Well, exactly that. That's a huge point, and there's a wide range of guests that have been on and will be on this podcast who either are entrepreneurs or they work in the corporate world and they've got a side hustle, or they just work in the corporate world and they're very successful in that. And I think social media tends to glamorize the entrepreneurial aspect of things. Gary Vaynerchuk, people like that, who, albeit
for sure,
inspiring, but there's a lot to be said. If you can find a corporate job which you spend 40, 50, 60 hours a week in, and you actually get fulfillment from it, then good on you and well done, because
nothing wrong with that. And there's like a human interaction as well that you get, do you know what I mean? Like, I've made friends in jobs, whereas if you're just working for yourself, you're just sitting yourself in a room, writing out orders all day, putting up Instagram posts, it can get a bit floofy, do you know what I mean? I found that over summer as well. I was kind of, I don't know if this is for me. It's kind of like being locked down 24/7. You take how you're feeling just now, try that, like, never going to work. It's crazy.
That's such a good point, isn't it? Because, like you say, I'm glad you're probably one of the best people to ask for that, because you've got potentially a road to go and do entrepreneurship full time, but you've also got a pathway that you can see within the graduate scheme and what goes beyond that in the finance sector. And I think that's really refreshing for people to listen to. And one of the things that people might have missed that amongst what you said there is that you're putting away some of this, or most of the money that you're making from Collection 26. And ultimately, if the right opportunity came along for you to pivot into,
you're ready to go, do you know what I mean? Like, just a case of like finding something. I don't know, reading a lot about like getting into property and stuff like that just now, but I don't know, man, it's for like a couple of years time, do you know what I mean? But for now, it's the clothing brand, and I love that. But I don't think that I'll be stopping doing business anytime soon. I just don't think that I'll ever be self-employed full time. It's not what I aspire to. Do you know what I mean?
Really interesting points there, Jock. And previous guest Justin Wilkins is a huge advocate of the property game, and he actually had a fitness clothing business before he moved into that. So he sold that business and started to put his time and his money into a buy-to-let portfolio, which the returns on are quite significant.
Exactly. No, I wanted to say, man, it's like, that's like the grown-up version of like reselling Supreme. Do you know what I mean? Reselling houses. It's just like your older person version. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, if you're good at that, maybe you're good at selling houses. Who knows? But we'll see. It's not something that I'm jumping into anytime soon. Just get my first mortgage, so we'll then start looking at elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. But think of you getting your first mortgage at the age you are is incredibly impressive, and that's a step on the ladder. One of the other things I wanted to touch on was, again, a bit entrepreneurial, but also with a charity focus. And you and I are both big Rangers fans. I hear half of the listeners will be booing at this point, but the rest will be cheering. In terms of your charity work, then I know that you did some work for the Rangers Charity Foundation. And where did that come from, and what did you get up to?
So I was like, so I was kind of, I don't know, I kind of keep up with charity a bit. I think it's quite important, like, when you're doing well, you give back. So the business always kind of helps out different charities and stuff. And then on an individual basis, like, I decided I'd run 10k, and it was like, who am I going to run for? They always ask a charity, and I thought, I've not got a clue. But I kind of knew a bit of the work Rangers Charity Foundation does. So they help out, they set up like football tournaments for people with additional needs who maybe wouldn't get to play like sort of a game of fives or whatever regularly. And then they do a lot for people with like Alzheimer's, dementia. It's called like Football Memories. It's quite good, and they go back and talk about old games they're at and stuff like that. It's quite cute.
I've seen that.
But it's also really important work.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's huge, and they get the players involved, and it just makes everyone's day. You know what I mean? and that's something that I could see making a real impact in Glasgow, like, in the community. So when I did that run, I was like, cool, I run for Rangers Charity Foundation. I can't play for Rangers, so I'll just run for them. And then I had a bunch of Collection 26 tops as well that I'd made and I designed, and I thought, God, these are awful. Do you know what I mean? Like, I said never going to sell. So sold them as like a sample sale and put all the money to charity. Some of it went towards the Rangers Charity Foundation. And then they got in contact with us and said, like, you've donated so much, like, come get your medal. Do you know what I mean? They made us like a True Blue Hero, it's called. But to be honest, like, anyone who kind of does quite a bit of fundraising for them gets one. But it was a nice night. You get presented with a medal, a player and stuff like that. It's like nice. Just we throw Ibrox and that as well. So I'm not complaining. But no, charity's important. When
Nice
you're doing well, I think it's just important to give back. Yeah, exactly. Like, I think you've got to remember that you've been there before. We've all been skint. You know what I mean? So it's good to
of course.
help out when you can.
That just to touch on that, some of the stuff the Rangers Charity Foundation does that I've seen online is brilliant. They've got that. They have the players go out and talk about old games with, like you say, at care homes with people who are suffering from dementia. It just brings a tear to your eye, doesn't it? And these things don't.
No, it's huge. Like, you don't realise how much a football club can do.
Yeah, exactly that. So yeah, it was good that you became a true blue hero. And it wouldn't be a fitness podcast without me asking what part of your day or your life does fitness form? I know you've recently gotten a bit more into it the last couple of years.
Yeah, huge, man. So, like, I've always kind of been going to the gym since kind of like fifth year in school or whatever. Never really took it that seriously, but so I don't know, wasn't great. And then the sort of past year or so, I've been getting into going to the gym before work, like getting up and going. And then I recently got a PT, Jordan Green, my pal and PT. He looks at my diet and stuff like that and makes sure I'm eating the right things, because that's just something I've not got a clue about. And he'll give me like specific workouts that target specific areas, so I can start actually seeing results rather than just going to the gym and like being able to lift a bit more or whatever. It's good to actually check that I'm doing the right form and that without just wasting my time. I think it's so important that you make sure you know what you're doing in the gym. That's something I didn't really think about before. But honestly, man, like, see the gains I've made, and even like just my own fitness and stuff like that since getting like a PT or whatever, it's just been like a huge difference. To, like, I've spent like years trying to get to this stage.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? How I would say to anyone that has been training for a couple of years and hasn't quite seen those kind of famous or fairly famous on Instagram kind of newbie gains where you see your arms blow up after a few months of training or whatever, it's because you're probably doing something not quite right. And that's why investing in a PT, even for as little as 12, 15 weeks, can absolutely change the game. And you probably made more progress in that time with the structure that Jordan put in place for you than
for sure, man.
That.
Even now, like doing home workouts and stuff, I wouldn't know where to start. But I get them in written up, and it's almost like somebody that holds you accountable as well. Make sure you're doing what you're doing, which is like valuable for me as well, because it means that I'll actually make time to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And particularly with somebody that's busy like yourself, exercise can play a big role. And I know you mentioned that kind of morning training session before you head into the office, and that frees up your evening for work and Collection 26.
For other stuff to do, exactly, man. It's good for your health and stuff like that as well, and gives you a bit of time to relax. You know what I mean? Just go to run, don't think about anything, which is good because there's normally always something in my mind. So
yeah, particularly when your phone's probably got, like you say, so many applications on it, so much data that you could choose to consume, let alone a busy Instagram account. I know that you can end up getting sucked down the rabbit hole, can't you?
100%, man.
Last thing to ask you then, Jock, is what are we've probably touched on some of this, but what are your long-term goals for, if we just think about Collection 26? Because I know you've said corporate world being the ideal place for you, but what about Collection 26? What should we look out for?
So in terms of short-term goals at the moment, I'm going to release. Well, I got this whole line made up called the Holiday Pack, and then coronavirus happened and nobody's going on holiday. But I'm just going to release that anyway at the end of the month. So hopefully that goes all right. But I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of flattens off compared to like last drops. But then we've got long-term. At the moment, I just hit like 21,000 on Instagram. So we're trying to grow that to like double that, like 40. Like every year we've kind of managed to make like significant gains. So I'm really pushing to like try and get that right up there, 40,000 hopefully by the end of the year. But don't know, might end up 30 or whatever. But as long as we're sort of making progress there. I'd like to organise a couple pop-up shops when this whole COVID thing's over, and then maybe talk to some sort of more independent shops like Storefront and try to get myself in there and sort of start building communities around different places as well, which is good.
And again, all of that can be done using your phone, your laptop, your time outside of this 9-5, but also the hours that you're going to have to put into your professional qualifications. And I think
exactly.
That's a great message for everyone listening. Yeah, that's a great message for everyone listening, that you're still balancing all this stuff. You're still able to set fairly lofty goals in terms of the size of the income that you're gaining from the drops, the size of designs you're putting out, the pop-up shops, the events, the social media growth as well, which although some people would see it as a vanity metric, it's not, because that's where your sales are coming from.
No, exactly. Like, I think it is if it's just your own Instagram, but when it comes to the business, like, that's how people, I wouldn't use it to measure success, but if you look at a business, you can tell how many sales are doing based on how fast their Instagram's growing. And it's only natural to compare yourself to other brands and stuff like that in the space, and to be like one of the biggest is like really good.
Yeah, brilliant. That's been a really interesting chat for myself, and hopefully for the listeners as well. Jock, where is the best place for them to catch up with you? And I'll pop the links in the show notes as well.
Catch up with the business on Instagram. It's at Collection26 Glasgow. You'll keep in with myself at Jock Rintoul just on Instagram. And then we've got the website collection26glasgow.com. That's about it, to be honest. It's all Instagram heavy.
Yeah, I think that's the way our generation are though, Jock, when it comes to making purchases. We see things we like 100%. On there, and the swipe up's there for us to go straight to the buy page.
It's the new shop window. That's what they say.
Exactly.
It's true.
Yeah. Pleasure to chat to you tonight, Jock. I'll pop those links I'll pop those links in the bio. Hopefully everyone's enjoyed that. Please drop us a 5-star review if you're listening on Apple. Drop us a story tag on Instagram, tag Jock and myself, and we look forward to your feedback, and I'll speak to you again next week. Thanks, team. Speak to you soon.